Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something you use literally every single time you speak. But, you probably rarely stop to think about it. Verbs. They aren't just simple words tossed onto a page. They are the highly complex, super-powered engines driving our entire system of communication. So let's get started.
Take a quick mental look at this sentence. My cat blank mice. Well, what's missing? If we just say, my cat mice, it makes absolutely zero sense, right? It falls completely flat. But drop in a word like chases or loves, and boom, the sentence instantly comes alive. Without verbs, our sentences completely fall apart.
Okay, let's dive into this. At its core, a verb is an action word. Or it's a group of words indicating the action done by a subject or showing a state of being. Whether it's a physical movement, a deep mental process, or just the simple condition of existing, the verb is what makes the whole thought actually work. So here's exactly how we're going to break down this massive grammar engine piece by piece today. We've got 1. Action and state verbs, 2. Main and helping verbs, 3. Setting mood with modals, 4. Regular versus irregular forms, 5. Transitive and intransitive verbs, and finally, 6. Finite and non-finite verbs. Let's start right at layer 1, action and state verbs. Verbs generally fall into two core types. First, we have action, or dynamic verbs. These are your physical activities and processes, things like run, chase, play, and go. Pretty straightforward. But then we have state verbs, also known as being verbs. These describe a condition or a situation with no real beginning or end. Words like belong, think, or like. It just shows that something is happening in a state of existence. And a quick challenge for you, try to commit the core being 8 to memory. They are is, am, are, was, were, be, being, and been. Once you lock those in, you'll spot a being verb from a mile away. Now, what's really interesting about this is a fascinating little secret rule with state verbs. In a stative sentence, like I have a car, you'd never say I am having a car, right? That's because state verbs generally cannot use ing continuous forms. But look at a dynamic example. They are having a party on Saturday. Here, the word have completely pivots. It goes from a passive state of ownership to a dynamic, voluntary action. So throwing an ing on there is perfectly fine. Moving right along to section 2. Main and helping verbs. So verbs don't always fly solo. They often work together in a crew, and they branch out into two distinct families. On one side, we've got the main verbs. These guys are doing all the heavy semantic lifting. On the other side, we have auxiliary verbs, or helping verbs, which step in to support the main verbs. Think of this helping crew as the fuel that sets the exact time and polarity of your main engine. They help the main verb express tense, voice, or emphasis. Now, the big 3 helpers in English are be, do, and have. Consider this. Luciano is working now. The word working is the main physical action, but that little helper is tells us the exact time. It's happening right now, in the present. Helpers are also exactly what we use to form questions and negative sentences, like Luciano isn't working. Next up, section 3, setting mood with modals. This is where we grab the literal steering wheel of the sentence engine. Modal verbs are a highly specialized type of helping verb. We're talking about words like can, could, might, must, and should. They indicate modality, which basically means they express the speaker's attitude or mood toward the action taking place. And what makes them so unique? They absolutely never change their form. No way. You will never add an s, ed, or ing to a modal verb, and they never use the word to before the main verb. Just think about how much power these tiny words hold. If you use can or may, you're giving permission or showing ability. Swap that out for might or could, and suddenly you're just talking about a possibility. But drop in a must or ought to, wow, you've just changed the entire attitude of the sentence to strict necessity or total compulsion. And this brilliantly illustrates the point. Stating the Patriots win without a modal verb is a 100% absolute certainty. It is a stated fact. But simply adding one modal, the Patriots might win, shifts the entire mood to a prediction. You're suddenly expressing maybe a 70% possibility instead of a hard reality. Huge difference. That brings us to section 4, regular versus irregular forms. Now, because English verbs are the only words that can have tenses, they actually shift through 5 distinct forms: the infinitive or base form, the present tense, the past tense, the the past participle, and the ing continuous form. But here is the major catch. How a verb reaches that past tense form determines whether it is playing nice by the rules as a regular verb or going completely rogue as an irregular one. Regular verbs, like work and walk, follow a beautifully neat, predictable pattern. You want past tense? Just add ed to get worked and walked. Simple. But irregular verbs? Totally unpredictable. The past tense of go isn't goed, it's went, and its perfect form is gone. Or take bite, which becomes bit and bitten. There is literally no rule here. You just have to learn these chaotic irregulars through pure experience. All right, let's keep the momentum going into section 5, transitive and intransitive verbs. So the crucial point here is how verbs pass their energy forward. In an intransitive sentence, like I am painting, the energy stops right there with the action. There's no specific object receiving the paint. But in a transitive version, like I am painting the car, that action is passed directly onto a definite object, the car. To really hammer this home, imagine someone walks right up to you and just says, Duncan kicked. You'd immediately pause and ask, Duncan kicked what? The sentence feels totally broken, right? That's because kick is a transitive verb. It absolutely demands an object to receive the action for the sentence to make any sense whatsoever. Duncan kicked the ball, the door, the tire. It needs that target to function. Finally, we arrive at the last piece of our taxonomy in section 6, finite and non-finite verbs. A finite verb is one that is strictly limited or bounded by the subject doing the action, the person, and the tense. If the subject changes from singular to plural or the time shifts from present to past, the finite verb changes its form to match it perfectly. For instance, in Ram has written the letter, the verb form is specifically locked into the present perfect tense to agree with a singular subject. But let's see how this builds when we look at the other side. Unlike finite verbs, non-finite verbs are the unbounded rebels of the sentence. They do not care at all about person or tense. They break down into infinitives, gerunds, and participles, and they act completely independently. For example, the infinitive to achieve stays exactly the same whether I say, I want to achieve right now, or she wanted to achieve 10 years ago, totally unrestricted by time. Okay, let's bring all of this together. What should you actually take away from this explainer? Well, primarily that without verbs, sentences literally fall apart. Main verbs do the heavy lifting, while auxiliary helpers set the time and tense. Modals, they steer the mood of your message. And transitive verbs absolutely must pass their action directly onto a receiving object. These wordy wonders are way, way more than just simple action words. They are the highly complex engines of our communication. So the next time you sit down to write an email, craft a story, or honestly, even just send a quick text message, ask yourself, are you using the right engine to drive your story? Be mindful of the verbs you choose because they define the entire journey and impact of your sentence. Thanks so much for watching this explainer, and keep exploring.